For Ramesh and I, our personal journey started several years ago by asking simple questions. Why doesn't public governance work in our cities? Why are our roads in such poor condition? Why doesn't our garbage get picked up? Stormwater drains so unclogged and uncleaned. And we started with our own neighborhoods as we dropped off our children to our schools, as we went to the local shops, as we walked around our neighborhoods, because that's where it was most evident. And as we sought solutions, as we sought answers to these questions, we started meeting our local government, the engineer, the health officer, and we'd never met a government before. Besides going to get my license done, I hadn't met a government official before this, and neither had we met a politician outside of television screens and newspapers.
And the more we met them, the more we began to realize that these people are getting in different directions. And if we wanted to get something done for our neighborhood, then we should stand up and start demanding this. So we looked around to see if there was any community action in our neighborhood, and we found a resident welfare association. So we got involved, and pretty soon I became the secretary of the association. There was an aggressive president that was there in the association, and we started demanding and getting some of the things that we needed for our neighborhoods. Getting the gutters cleaned, getting the streets done, getting the street lights fixed, and so on.
But pretty soon we began to realize, my God, this is never going to work. Our engineer seemed a good enough guy, but how much control did he have over any kind of decisions, whether it was to do with budgets or which works had to be identified? There were so many invisible pulls and pressures that we slowly started getting aware of.
For example, where did the budget come from? How does the money get allocated for our ward? Because our neighborhood is in a political unit called a ward. Where did the money for the city itself come from? And what about the engineer? Just when we've established a relationship with the executive engineer, he gets transferred. Now, who decides that he should get transferred? And if somebody has so much power over the engineer to transfer him, then where will his loyalties lie? Will they be towards us, or will it be towards the person who can control his transfer?
We also started learning about the impact of our needs on other areas, on other neighborhoods, and in a larger city context. For example, while we were focusing on getting our door-to-door garbage streamlined, getting uniforms for our collectors, and getting our garbage bins removed, where did this garbage go? Did it go into an empty site? Did it go into an adjoining neighborhood? Did it go into the villages outside the city? And we started to realize that there were so many interrelationships and so much interconnection that we had not anticipated and we had not looked at. And we started asking deeper questions. First it was in ones and twos, trickle down, but pretty soon it became a torrent. We started wondering why in a residential neighborhood next door there was suddenly a house became a daycare center. What kind of zoning allowed a very large restaurant to come up at a major road intersection, creating all kinds of traffic issues for the rest of the neighborhood. And we realized that it was not even part of the local corporation jurisdiction. It was actually a separate government authority called the Development Authority. And then we realized the disconnectedness of the water supply department, of the traffic police, of the RTO. And it was such a complex tapestry that we started finding ourselves in.
And the more we discovered this, the more we realized that there was no monolithic government, that this was actually a fragmented set of institutions, some of which were at the local government level, some of which were at the state government level, some of which were even at the union government level. And we didn't have any sense of where these institutions were located, and more importantly, what was the interaction between these institutions, and at the end of it, what was the glue that held them together, this thing that we called democracy. And as we asked these questions, we realized that we knew so little about how our governments were structured and how our democracy was organized. And if we wanted to find solutions, we first had to equip ourselves with the knowledge. The good news was that as we started acquiring these knowledge pieces, our solutions started becoming more and more effective.
So for example, when we were addressing getting our heavily potholed road fixed or our drain fixed, we realized that this work had to be included in an annual budgetary cycle, which is called Program of Works. And we realized that the corporator, who is our local elected representative, is the one who decides on this. So we lobbied with our corporator to get our priorities included in this Program of Works. But we didn't stop there. We then went on to look at this work and the tender specifications at the local engineer's office to find out what sort of thickness, is it sustainable, will it wear off, how do the potholes need to get fixed, and we oversaw the actual implementation, ensuring good quality outcomes. Our cook, for example, had been running around for more than a year trying to get her ration card done. And we said, let's find out who's responsible. And we realized that it's actually another arm of government called the Food and Civil Supplies Department, which she didn't even know about. So we contacted this department, we asked them to come to the neighborhood, got our cook as well as hundreds of others like her to sit together to understand the process, to put in the application, and then finally get their ration cards.
There are many examples of these kinds of successes, but there are also examples of failures. But if we look at the successes, the central ingredient for all these was the fact that we first equipped ourselves with the information and the knowledge to then be able to define what the outcome ought to be. But the more we did this, the more we began to realize that, my God, there must be thousands of people like us who want to make a difference but don't have that basic first step. They don't have that basic knowledge to then be able to convert their energy into action. And this was one of the key reasons that we started Janagraha. Janagraha was begun in 2001 with the belief that citizens in our cities across the country want to make a difference, care about their cities, but don't know how to take that first step. And if we could create that platform, if we could equip them with the tools, then we could unleash a tremendous amount of energy that could make our cities into exciting places to live in, where people feel empowered and people feel a sense of ownership over their cities. For ourselves, over the last several years, this journey has resulted in our work going from the neighborhood level to much larger issues. As we've learned more about the cities and the complexity of urban governance, our solutions have also gone to those larger levels. We started talking about the relationship between cities and the surrounding rural areas, addressing the issues of urban governance, both at the state level as well as lobbying and advocating at the national level. And what we found is that the response of the system, the policymakers, has been extremely rewarding. At the national level, we've had the Prime Minister's Office, the Planning Commission, the Ministries of Urban Development and Urban Poverty Alleviation, all of them responding to the advocacy work of Janagraha. Just a few examples of the kind of impact that we've managed to have. Just last year, the National Urban Renewal Mission was announced. It's a 50,000 crore initiative of the Government of India, the largest urban initiative in independent India's history. It has many reforms that are required to make our cities run better, but two of those reforms have been defined, designed and drafted by Janagraha. I am the National Technical Advisor for this National Urban Renewal Mission. Another example is the Administrative Reforms Commission. The second of its kind in independent India, it has a mandate to demonstrate huge sweeping reforms across various aspects of government. The ARC has asked Janagraha to prepare its report on urban governance reforms. Another example is at a state level. Both Swati and I are involved at the state level in Rajasthan, working on many initiatives of urban governance reform. Examples of these are sweeping changes in municipal law, urban land reforms, how do we get title, how do we prepare a spatial data center so that we have better information about how our cities are managed, how do we prepare a more coherent and scientific master planning process. So these are the kinds of things that we're beginning to get involved in. It doesn't mean that we've forgotten Bangalore. In Bangalore and in Karnataka, our work is a little more challenging. All kinds of change always requires influencing two key stakeholders, both the citizens as well as the government. In Bangalore, we found that our ability to influence the citizens is going a little faster than the influence of government. It will take a little more time. With patience and perseverance, we're sure that that will also happen soon.
But clearly, this is a full-time passion for us. But like us, there are hundreds of citizens, hundreds of people with a passion for change who are equipping themselves for converting this into actual change and success on the ground by understanding how government works. And it's in different levels, at the level of an apartment complex, at the larger level of a neighborhood, at the level of a city. Examples of housewives, Smita, Nanda, Veena, so many of them. Smita, for example, who mobilized her local community to actually create a resident welfare association, and they are taking up very small civic issues like cleaning up their garbage from their entire neighborhood. Another one, Nanda, who actually makes sure that the health officers come and spray mosquito repellents in their neighborhoods periodically, and not just her neighborhood, but also the adjoining slum areas. Many examples of change like this.
And there are examples of other people. Neelakant Chowdhury, for example, a student of management who got involved in cleaning up the voter rolls. In urban areas, voter rolls are replete with errors, with many people's names not being included. Neelakant got involved in an initiative to get people's names included into the voter lists. Another example is Mr. Gurudas. He's a retired employee of the Government of India. In his neighborhood, he led a community initiative to bring about successes on many fronts. One example of the success is a park, which had a huge number of encroachments. They managed to get the encroachments removed so that the park could go back to the community for its original purpose. Now, there are examples of many people at the local community level and their neighborhood level, but some of these people have also started working at a larger level. What Janagraha has done is to give them a platform called a Community Leaders Network, where these people can come and share their experiences and lead others across the city in a peer-to-peer exchange of successes as well as failures, all driven by their increasing knowledge about how government works.
Yeah, and how does Janagraha help these people? Well, clearly one is to create this kind of platform for champions of change to find each other. We then also provide tools such as spatial data, maps, online complaint management systems, technology that works for this kind of participation. We also create discussion platforms where they engage with their government, where they engage with subject matter experts. There are many ways in which people who come in actually get empowered in understanding government and in therefore becoming effective champions of change.
Even today, this journey continues for us. Every day we learn something more about government, and we keep adding to this cumulative knowledge about our government and about our democracy so that our solutions get better. One thing is for sure, we are a long way away from the day when we started by asking the question, why doesn't the garbage get picked up on time?